Hello and welcome to another NLO8 video. Today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to play an entire Hyper Turbo tourney right from the very beginning right through to the very last hand, which a player goes on to win this one. So the first part will be the tournament up until the full table, and then the second part will be the full table itself. Anyway, so let's just jump right in and see what happens here. Okay, a reasonable sort of hand to get a free look at the flop, but we don't catch much. Staying out of trouble there in the early stages. Okay, players out of that one. Alright, I don't think he'll be doing much here with this hand. No. One of the things to remember about these Hyper Turbos, there's a few of them on stars now. They play from the $5. I'm not sure what just happened. A bit of a glitch on the screen. We'll start that hand again. So they have a few of these on stars now. And one of the things with them is that there's quite a range of buy-ins. I think from starting at $7.50, and then you go all the way up. I only play up to the ones up in the 50s. I think there might even be some higher than that. So there's quite a few of them. One of the things to note about them is that a lot of players, feel the pressure of the blinds moving up. So ranges for shoving and calling can be a bit wider in the hypers. You can't sit around and wait. So you have to recognise the players that are playing wider and adjust accordingly. Otherwise, your stack gets eaten by those blinds and antes really fast. Okay, just limping in. Don't mind that. I think we'll fold here to that shove, yes. Okay, not much going on there. Let's see. Player 9's pretty active up there. Oh, we've got a nice hand. Player 9 raising again. What does our player do? Yeah, takes the opportunity to jam. Player 9 has been very active, so ace, queen, deuce, deuce probably stacks up pretty darn well. And yes, we get the fold. Nice. Okay, won't be much we do with this hand. Alright, let's see what our player does here now. He's got a chance on the button. Just comes in for a small raise. Oh, he flops well. Continue, of course, on that board with the nut low and a straight draw. Takes it down without a showdown. Yeah, getting out of the way with that hand. Okay, let's see what happens here. A bit of a glitch in the screen, so I'll just replay this one. Okay. I don't think he'll call with this. No, just a little bit too weak. And even though player 9's been very active, he's probably got something to jam from under the gun. And yes, he does have a decent ace-deuce hand. Bit surprised by player 11's call there, but anyway, like I said, a lot of players open up. Some open up far too much. They really do widen their ranges far too much. Okay. So, see what our player does here. Does he play? No. Okay, I'll just rewind that one. Yeah, probably we're a bit too early to be jamming that hand, and we're starting to get into stack sizes where playing for flops isn't the best idea. I mean, you still can if you get the opportunity, but not from early position. Wouldn't be limping because people are jamming all over the place as the stacks get shorter and shorter. Yeah, folds that. This is what I mean by people widening up. Like he's limped to call an all-in, almost to induce an all-in, with only an ace-6 for a low and a fairly mediocre high, and is essentially a three-card hand. That 9, apart from suiting the king, as we've mentioned before, ace-king-9 hands are essentially three-card hands. Okay, let's see. Player doesn't play that one. Okay, he hasn't got much to work with in this hand either. He's going to have to find some cards soon. Those blinds and antes are just climbing and climbing, as they do in hypers. Okay, not much he's going to be able to do with this one, but he's down under 11 blinds. He's going to have to make a move. Okay, this won't be the hand. No. This one probably won't be the hand either. He'll be looking for anything with a bit of value and he'll be getting it in. Not that one. And see there, that's what I mean about players opening up. He probably feels aces are pretty good, but a high only hand is problematic, but he gets away with it on this occasion on that board. Gets a high only board, matches high only hand. Oh, it looks like our player will be all in on this one. Let's see how he plays it. Yeah, just jam. No point in doing anything else really when the stack's getting under 10 blinds. Let's see. We get the call. Okay, didn't work out. Now we're getting super desperate here. Probably won't call without a low in his hand. No. He's going to have to go with a high only hand very soon if he doesn't get a low hand. Okay, I imagine he'll go with this Queen, Queen, 3-2, third best starting low. There's a raise. Of course, he's still going to play. Oh, got a bit of action. Oh, up against aces. That's unfortunate, but spike the river. And he's in with a shot. As mentioned before, we know that this player went on to win, so we knew he wasn't going to get knocked out. But he won't bother with tens there in that spot. Okay, let's see what he does here. He's got a decent hand. I like this. He must have a read. It's hard to tell when you're watching these hand reviews in a vacuum without the stats. But it looks like in order for him to... I mean, his hand is reasonably good. With 12 blinds, he probably has a bit of history with player 20 and feels that he's good against that range. And yeah, player 20 is a bit loose, but we've gotten in. We're ahead on the high, behind on the low. Let's see what happens. Oh, what a beautiful board! And our opponent doesn't get a low. He's counterfeited. So that was nice. Stay away with a hand like that. And yes, player 20 does seem to be very active. So I wouldn't be surprised if our player pulls the same move again, even with weaker holdings. Yes, and so we can see the sort of ranges player 20 is going with. Okay, you won't do much with that hand, no. Not much to do with this one either. Wow, with 3 aces in his hand, still manages to spike a set of aces. Nice. Oh well, our player's going to be playing this one, probably. Depends on the action. Very strong hand. Let's see what he does. Will he go for it? Yes, he does. Let's see how it plays out. Oh, nice. The nines. Oh, and our player's in a nice position now. Fantastic. And again, in a multi-way pot, even though he's weak on the low, you know players are coming in with the wider ranges than they ordinarily would be, as evidenced by this guy's hand up here, because you just can't sit around and wait. All right, so let's see, our player certainly has the biggest stack at this table. Let's see what he does with this hand. Well, he probably won't get involved with that early position raise. Just far too weak on the low side of things, that hand. Yeah, not much he's going to be able to do with this one here. Let's see, does he play this one? No, staying out of trouble for a little bit. Wasn't a particularly great hand. course, had he known what the board was going to be in advance. Okay, well, I guess he's going to play this one. Just with the call. I guess this hand, this ace 2, 3, 4 hands play really well multi-way, so he's not concerned to isolate. In fact, he'd be quite happy for players to come in behind. And someone does. Oh well, you can't hit every flop. At these odds, will he call? Yes. I mean, it's pretty unlikely, but when you're getting odds of infinity to 1, you pretty much have to call. What was that, 140 bet into an 8,000 pot? Or you might get the runner. And he does. No, he doesn't. Sorry, I was looking for the runner low there. Obviously, there wasn't one. But yeah, a bit of a funny call there on the flop with nothing. But at those odds, you can't, you know. Well, what was he getting? He's getting, what was it, something like, it was 140 into an 8,000 pot. It's ridiculous odds. Okay, well, he won't be able to do much with this hand. Let it go. Well, just sometimes the software is glitching a little bit, showing the wrong information. Okay, here we go. He'll probably fold this. Yeah, no point in calling here. Okay, as you can see, these hands are all fairly decent for the situation. You know, never underestimate the power of the 3 deuce for a low. Third best starting low. How does that play out? Okay, another player down. Oh, we've got a nice hand. Ace, ace, 8, 8. Even suit. Oh, against a bigger stack. You might not want to jam here or even raise out of position. Let's see what he does. Oh, he does go for the jam. Yeah, well, I much prefer a jam than a small raise. Really, it's interesting that the bigger stack limped, so that doesn't indicate a lot of strength, really. Sometimes, in some situations it does, but I can't see any reason for it in this one, so hopefully the big stack will just fold. We don't really want to play against him. Good. And yeah, and jamming there is perfectly fine because when you've got weak aces out of position, you don't really want to be putting yourself in a situation where you're playing against a bigger stack and having to make difficult post-flop decisions. So a jam there is really the way to go. You could consider it to be a bit of a tell that, you know, that your hand range is that in that sort of area by jamming rather than wanting to see a flop. But anyway, let's see what our player does. He's picked up quite a nice hand on this next table. Well, I reckon he'll raise to isolate. Jam to isolate. He does, yes. Hopefully that big stack gets out of the way. Oh, we're getting a fair bit of action. Oh no! Big stack came in much lighter than I would have expected against another similar size stack. That really surprises me. Oh well, we've run into aces on a small stack and queens over there. Let's see how it plays out. Oh well, we made the wheel. Nice. And that, by the way, shows the power of having that extra low card, that extra wheel card as a backup to your ace deuce kickers. So the set of queens gets a bit unlucky there. And the short stack over here also made a wheel, so we don't get all the chips. But yes, now we're looking good. And by the way, just to step that back one, I really think player 21 up here made a big mistake by, you know, once this other big stack comes into the pot, he should just get out of there with that weak hand. I mean, what was it? What was his low? An ace-6 for a low in a multi-way pot. Sure, he had the biggest stack going in, but that's not a good hand to be playing multi-way. Terrible hand. Anyway, so let's keep going along. See what our player does here with the chip lead. He's probably not going to do much there because this hand will go to showdown. It was a hand he could have stole or bluffed with, but not a hand you want to play to showdown. Let's see what happens. Again, he'll get out of the way. Yep. At this stage of the hyper, with the stack so short, pretty much the vast majority of hands are going to be played all in pre-flop, so it really comes down to understanding your hand equities in both heads-up situations and the sort of hands that play well multi-way. Yeah, bad player gets out of the way with that one. I guess he'll be folding to a shove. Yep. Okay. Nothing you can do with those cards. See how some of the players, just because you've got a few extra chips doesn't mean you can get totally absurd. I think that's a bit of a silly play, really, there with no possibility of a low and feeling mediocre high hand. So just because it's a hyper doesn't mean you have to be completely silly. We've got a high only hand here, but let's see if our player raises here. Oh, he actually goes the whole jam. Yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to get called. Oh, he does get called, and by a terrible holding too. Although we don't really like to see that, but it's just player 21. I'll give up trying to read some of these players. I have no idea what was going through his mind there. Does it hand hold? Does. Oh, we spiked the 10 on the river. Great. Moving right along. So yeah, I mean, you do have to widen your ranges a bit, but not as much as some of these characters. See what he does here. No, it doesn't go for the steal on that one. Yeah, because you've got these stacks here, 5 blinds. Stealing's no longer much of an option. Every hand is going to go to showdown. Okay, and here we are. We've made it to the final table. How's our player's stack look? Okay, it looks like we got into the final table with the biggest stack. That's pretty good. Anyway, so that's the end of part 1. Which is, we'll make this one available on YouTube. Part 2 will be for our premium members on the NLO8.com website. So if you want to see part 2, come and check us out on the website at NLO8.com. Anyway, thanks and bye for now.